I think a lot of dairies will bring in a data manager. I mean, and they may not call it a data manager, but I think that data manager, he or she coming out of school, that will be able to say, I can use R, I can use some SAS, and I can use some other statistical software out there, plus AI, and integrate it and come up with bigger solutions.
Welcome to Ag Smarter Sessions, where we sit down with thought leaders, forward movers, and problem solvers to explore real world challenges, intelligent solutions, and what's next for the future of food and agriculture. Today, we are sitting down with Paul Dyk, an independent dairy farm consultant who works with GPS Dairy Consulting. GPS offers an integrated suite of services from nutrition formulation and calf management to business tools, forums, and hands on advisory support, all designed to strengthen dairy farm operations, improve efficiencies, and support herd health and productivity. Paul, we are happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today on Ag Smarter Sessions.
It's great to be here.
First, tell me about your personal background. What led you to dairy consulting?
Probably my love of cows started on my home farm, like a lot of folks. Grew up on a small tie style barn in Ontario, Canada. Went to school, got my master's from Michigan State. Did a lot of jobs over the last 20 years or 30 years, and I did some educational jobs in the university systems. I worked for a liquid feed company for a few years, and a couple other supply companies. But about 6, 7 years ago. I was enjoying a job I had, but I said, I really want to get back to being on a dairy farms with dairy producers one on one and to solve problems long term. So I I wanted to be able to go to a farm a couple times a month and really make an impact and say, get to know the dairy at the base level, get to know the people, their finances, the nutrition, and say, what are they really need? How do I make an impact on this dairy long term? I had done a lot of consulting where I go to a farm one day and then you may not see them for 6 months. Now I have about 20 clients, and with those 20 clients, I see them regularly, a couple times a month.
Sounds incredibly fulfilling. And
Yeah.
speaking of problems and challenges, between labor, feed costs, herd health, environmental compliance, what are those most pressing challenges that you're seeing on those dairy farms today?
There's lots of challenges, but it always starts with people. It's acquiring good people, finding good people, putting those people in the right positions. I think we're kind of past the point where we can just have our uncle feed the cows, or we can have our brother be the herds person. We probably have to hire other folks in and trying to find those people. And there's not enough good people around. So then it's a matter of how do we train those people? How do we build them up? So it starts with people, but there are some pressing challenges that we have right now. We have a dairy that's again still rapidly condensing, is getting to be less dairies, but they're trying to figure out how do we interact with a world that counts carbon credits, and how do we put digesters in place? How do we be part of that world, and yet we still have to make money. We want to be sustainable, and we need to make money every day, right?
I guess along with that management, there's probably some, more progressive producers who might be rethinking their approach, right, to that management, whether that
Mm,
be like tech adoption or people strategy, or is there,
right.
you mentioned multi sites, maybe the business diversification. What are you seeing there that are specifics that people are adopting to sort of get through and do better?
I find it really interesting that one of the examples I use is activity monitors. We have a lot of people
Mhm.
that are adopting activity monitors, and it's kind of shaking out to 3 or 4 main activity monitors that are out there. And people say to me, "Why do people adopt that?" Well, it is about heat detection. Um, it is about finding sick cows and managing nutrition. But I find that one of the things that's really true is that when we start using technology, we can bring new people on and we can create accountability. We can say, hey, over the weekend, there were 4 cows that were on the sick list or the checklist. Did you check those? And so it becomes about integrating new employees. They're going to be about technology. They're going to look at their phones and they're going to say, hey, I need to do these things. These are my tasks for the day. And so it's really about using technology um, as part of the management strategy on the dairies.
Do you guys play a really close role in terms of, like, looking all that data that's coming in and helping them make decisions? Are you talking to them about technology on a pretty frequent basis then?
First question is, what are the problems I'm trying to solve, or what are the questions I have that I want answered? Does this technology help me do that? Second part is, who's gonna be the master of the technology on these dairies? If we think about these dairies and we say, do we have the person in place that knows how to work with this herd management software? Do we have the people in place that, if we do an activity monitor, who's gonna look at that on a daily basis? Are they trained? Are they ready for that? If we implement this technology, but there's no one who can use the technology, then don't bring it in. I mean, or maybe hire somebody ahead of time. So for me, integrating technology into a farm, it before you just buy the technology, ask some questions first. Is it the right technology for us? Does it fit within our management? Do we have the people that can execute and can work with that technology?
Any part of agriculture, have you seen a technology recently that you're really excited about? Maybe machine learning or data science or AI or maybe something completely different? Would love to hear what you're saying.
I am so surprised, and I'm like everybody else. I go to Google, right? And I put a complicated question in about dairy and even what additives, or hey, what would your inoculant levels be for this type of forage? And it used to be you got 20 websites, and a lot of those were company website. I'm shocked and amazed how good AI is getting at giving me an answer, like a real answer, that, is thought out bullet points, and it's got all the stuff, and I check the sites, and I do check to make sure it's verifiable, and sometimes it's not, like, the AI isn't perfect. But I think if we look 5 years, 10 years down the road, using that information, putting data sets that we have and saying, so what do you think? Where can we make more money? I think that's what's gonna be. I don't know where it's gonna go, but if you just have played with AI a little bit, it's hard not to be excited and also I don't know, scared, but it's like, wow, what opportunities are there? How can we use this AI technology? We have all this data out there, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, I'm sure what the benchmark should be, but how can I use AI to bring it together?
It's at everyone's fingertips, and I feel like this is
Sure.
where, there is a technology gap for some producers, and they are reluctant to adopt new things, and, like you said, these singular systems, and maybe they bought into a singular system that didn't talk to the other one, now they're
Mm.
frustrated, and now they've invested this energy, and they're like, "I don't know, I don't wanna use this stuff anymore," but perhaps just using AI technology on their own might help them sort of bridge that gap.
I think we've had on many dairies, we've gone to an ops manager. He takes care of all the equipment. We had the herd manager, takes care of all the cows. I think a lot of dairies will bring in a data manager. I mean, and they may not call it a data manager, and it's not going to be somebody who's just plugging in voices in, and that's our office manager. She or he is great, but I think that data manager, he or she coming out of school, that will be able to say, "Hey, I can use R, I use some SAS, and I can use some other statistical uh, software out there plus AI and integrate it and come up with bigger solutions."
So, thinking about those things that come up, yeah, certainly AI and data technology will be able to help, but just getting through some of those more volatile times, is it just a matter of, those producers that are able to weather those storms? Is it just really good risk management, or what are they doing that might be different? Maybe it is technology.
It's not guessing, okay? It's not guessing, and it's not crossing your fingers and hoping it's gonna be okay. They have a consistent plan on risk management. They're using a professional to talk to about risk management, whether it's on the milk side, using the government programs to mitigate risk, feed pricing. They're approaching it multiple ways. So it's not about, like, guessing the markets, it's about a strategy, right? It's about a strategy of how we're gonna approach next quarter, 3rd quarter, maybe having multiple opinions on that.
We're here at Ag Smarter Sessions, and Ag Smarter is our sort of platform on thought leadership. What does Ag Smarter mean to you?
Egg Smarter is always learning, never stop learning. I have found that's one of my most, it's one of my advantages. I always ask more questions. I'm always trying to learn about new things. I don't need to know everything, but I always wake up and I wanna learn something new. I'm not sure how the other guests have answered, but Egg Smarter is about doing things smarter than yesterday, using what you have and learning about more things. You don't have to use all the new innovation out there, but you sure better be aware of it and don't get left behind. So, to me, Egg Smarter, learn a little bit more every day.